she stepped up as my wife and handled that. And there's been many times where I've been at my lowest, and she's always been the strongest to get me back up to like, get back out there. You gotta get back out there and do what you do. Don't worry about what's happening over here. I'm gonna handle that.
Snoop Dogg's marriage didn't quietly fade after 27 years. It went off like a controlled explosion from inside his own home. According to insiders, the fallout was triggered by the one person who knows every contract, every password, and every weak spot in his public image, his wife and longtime business partner, Shantae Brodus. In June 2025, industry sources claimed that Shantae allegedly leaked a video placing Snoop directly inside the circle of Sean Diddy, Combs' infamous freak-off parties, the same type of gatherings prosecutors say were central to Diddy's criminal operations. Now, federal agents and entertainment attorneys are asking a harsh question. Is this just a messy celebrity breakup, or the first move in a calculated plan to protect Snoop's empire before investigators start connecting more dots?
It felt like, what? Like, is this fun for him? Is this a test?
To understand why this alleged leak from Shantae feels like a bomb going off, we have to remember what Diddy's downfall actually looks like on paper. In March 2024, federal agents raided his homes in Los Angeles and Miami and seized hundreds of hard drives and storage devices. In court documents, investigators later described those items as control material, recordings tied to his private encounters and the so-called freak-off events. Those raids fed directly into the larger federal case that, by mid, had Diddy sitting in MDC Brooklyn under grim conditions while awaiting trial on human trafficking and racketeering charges. Prosecutors accused him of running a system of coerced intimate encounters and recording freak-off sessions that were allegedly used to control partners and associates. By late 2024 and through 2025, the story only got darker. Diddy was convicted under the Mann Act for transporting individuals for commercial exploitation, and those same freak-off logistics became central to the case. During the trial, victims described how the recordings were used as leverage whenever someone tried to walk away. Inside the courtroom, we saw how essential those tapes were to Diddy's power. Stylists and insiders testified that Cassie Ventura had confided in them about freak-off videos where she was filmed with other men, even though she never wanted to take part in those encounters. One witness described an incident around 2013 or 2014 when, after a heated confrontation, Diddy allegedly forced Ventura and a friend out of an apartment, then chased them down and used the threat of those recordings like a digital cage. We learned that when his temper flared, he didn't just yell, he allegedly grabbed phones, searched homes, and treated the recordings as a way to keep people in line. Prosecutors later said his real currency wasn't money, but control, describing his behavior as long-term psychological domination.
It's probably leaning towards guilt. Now, on the racketeering, I agree with you that the predicate acts may be found, but that's not all they need. There's an ultimate question. The first question on the jury verdict form is, do you find him guilty or not guilty of racketeering? Before you even get to the predicate acts, which you only get to if you find guilt, they could just be hung up on that question and say, this guy's not Tony Soprano. I am not convinced that I even want to find guilt.
By the time the verdict came down, prosecutors had painted a clear picture of a man who built an entire system around those private encounters, the travel schedules, and the recordings. In July 2024, Diddy was acquitted of the broad racketeering and human trafficking charges, but the jury still convicted him on 2 Mann Act counts for arranging interstate transportation linked to commercial exploitation. A federal judge then sentenced him to a little over 4 years in prison after an intense hearing where victims described long-term trauma and his children pleaded for mercy. The defense argued he was a changed man, battling addiction and unresolved emotional wounds, but prosecutors insisted that a light sentence would ignore years of violence and manipulation. The judge agreed, saying Diddy had abused his partners physically, emotionally, and psychologically, and had used his fame and money to keep the whole system running. All of that matters because the alleged Snoop footage is said to tie directly into that same ecosystem. According to people familiar with the ongoing federal investigations, agents have been analyzing Diddy's seized hard drives since 2024, mapping out who attended which events, what was recorded, and how far the pattern of controlled encounters may have reached into higher levels of entertainment and business. When we line up that timeline with the claim that a Snoop video surfaced in June 2025, this stops being just a marriage crisis. It becomes a potential collision between Snoop's polished Uncle Snoop image and a federal paper trail built around the darkest parts of Diddy's world. The quiet question circulating in Los Angeles boardrooms isn't just whether Snoop ever showed up at one of those gatherings, it's what any recording might show about his actions, and who else might have been there with him.
Specifically challenges allegations suggesting that Mr. Combs and his involvement in the 2018 of his former partner Kim Porter, whose passing was officially attributed to natural causes by the Los Angeles County.
This is where Shanti's alleged role becomes even more unsettling. On June 9, 2021, Snoop announced publicly that Shantae was no longer just his wife, she was officially his manager. She was now responsible for expanding his business in spirits, gaming, music, cannabis-related deals, touring, licensing, TV, and film. In that press release, Snoop called her his ultimate gut check, saying she had been guiding his career behind the scenes from the very beginning and that he wouldn't be where he is without her. Shantae described the role as a natural step after spending more than 20 years by his side and as a chance to strengthen his legacy as a trusted brand. When we place that next to her image as the powerhouse behind Boss Lady Entertainment, her involvement in running his event compound, and her role in producing his 2012 documentary, Reincarnated, it becomes clear she wasn't some quiet spouse in the background. She was the person who literally helped build and protect the Snoop Dogg empire. Publicly, their relationship has always been framed as a story of loyalty surviving fame. They met as teenagers at Long Beach Polytechnic High School, went to dances and prom together, and married in June 1997 at the Ritz-Carlton in Marina del Rey. They later renewed their vows in 2008 after a brief 2004 divorce filing that Snoop later blamed on ego. Over the years, he has repeated the same story. He almost walked away, realized what he had at home couldn't be replaced, returned, and built a family with 3 children and eventually grandchildren. Through all of it, Shantae appeared on red carpets, in documentaries, and on reality shows as the steady presence beside a man constantly reinventing himself. Interviews from 2015, 2023, and 2024 show Snoop repeating the same themes. She taught him to put family first. She balances out his flaws, and their vows meant till tragedy do us part, not until arguments or money get in the way.
More you on the stuff that I put her through in my journey on becoming successful, because I had no understanding of what I was doing her, how I was hurting her.
That story grew even stronger in 2021 when Snoop essentially handed Shantae full control of his brand. He publicly admitted that he had put her through a lot over the years and said she was the only person he trusted to protect his legacy after he was gone. But even with that emotional narrative, many people still remembered that their unbreakable marriage had survived challenges far bigger than normal celebrity rumors. In 2019, online personality Selena Powell claimed she had a months-long affair with Snoop, bragging about secret trips and private encounters. She later became known as an internet troll who had also lied about being pregnant by another rapper. Long before that, it was already known that Snoop had fathered a son, Julian, in 1998 with Lori Hellman while he was married to Shantae Clear. Proof that infidelity wasn't just rumor, but a documented part of their history. Beyond the polished family image, Snoop has also faced serious legal accusations that conflicted with the safe, mentor-like persona he later built on television. In 2013, a dancer identified as Jane Doe filed a federal lawsuit accusing him and his longtime associate, Bishop Don Magic Juan, of forcing her into sexual acts after a concert. She claimed she was taken to Campbell's home, woke up to an unwanted encounter, and later was cornered by Snoop in a bathroom during a taping of his Double G News network. The lawsuit said she felt pressured because Snoop had the power to affect her future in the industry. And she claimed she faced retaliation after mediation failed, pointing to an Instagram post about Gold Digger season as a public jab at her. Snoop's team strongly denied all of it, calling the allegations a shakedown attempt and insisting she had never even worked for any of his companies. But the case still added another layer to a history already filled with controversies, from his early homicide trial days to later conflicts and eventual reconciliations with Suge Knight.
It's only happening in Long Beach right now as far as me doing something for the community, because that's where my heart lies at, as far as straightening out my own neighborhood before I go elsewhere.
So when we saw Snoop in January 2024 on Instagram, live saying he turned down a $100 million adult content style deal because I got a black wife who would never allow me to pull that thing out on camera, it was clear how carefully that message was crafted. The moment didn't go viral just because of the huge number. It reinforced his image as the fun, playful older statesman of hip-hop, someone who might joke about his past but now respects his wife's boundaries and chooses family over temptation. That same image followed him straight into his network TV roles, like The Voice. In September 2024, he was on national television giving wholesome marriage advice, telling viewers that the secret to 28 years together was focusing on what your partner loves and doing it consistently. He presented himself as a loving, caring provider who put his wife in a position where she never had to work, describing her as the backbone who made his entire career possible.
If we really dig, I believe we're gonna find probably 3 or 4 dudes over the years that she had long-term side.
Against that backdrop, early 2024 gave us the first clear sign that the alliance between Shantae and the men who once shaped Snoop's career was starting to crack in public. On social media, Suge Knight was already using his Collect Call podcast to air out old grudges, imply that Snoop still owed him money from the 2023 Death Row Records acquisition, and drop dark hints about what really happened in the 1990s around the Shocker era and the East Coast-West Coast feud. Then a viral Vlad TV clip amplified Suge's commentary about powerful entertainers and scandalous intimate behavior. Snoop responded in February 2024 with a seemingly calm and mature comment. He wrote that he was praying for his former boss to find peace, but the calm didn't last. Suge fired back on X, demanding that Snoop produced proof of the death row payment and then detonated something far more personal. He posted a photo of Shantae in Hawaii with another man and added, "I'll pray your wife stopped going to Hawaii with other men." Suddenly, whatever private strain existed inside the Brodus marriage wasn't a rumor anymore. It was being used as ammunition by the man who once controlled Snoop's entire career, now speaking from prison while watching his former artist own the label he built. The internet instantly split into factions. Some brushed Suge off as a fading figure grasping for attention, pointing out that Snoop had his own history of outside relationships, including the child conceived during the marriage, and asking why Shantae couldn't travel without her husband. Others fixated on the unknown man in the photo and wondered whether Suge was holding more receipts, especially given his podcast habit of hinting at buried secrets and promising that certain scores would be settled. For a couple that had spent years presenting themselves as a united front against outside temptations, the optics were brutal. Suge wasn't just stirring drama, he was drawing blood. He was accusing the wife's manager of stepping out, while simultaneously reminding the public that Snoop hadn't always lived up to the wholesome, loyal husband image he now projects.
And what's really going to be interesting is the parade of celebrities who we expect to be mentioned and or called into that courtroom. You know, people who we hadn't heard about prior, like Mike Myers, you know, Austin Powers, Mike Myers. Why is he getting called? Why is he on the witness list? That'll be fascinating. And then, of course, there are the no-name, quote unquote, women who are going to have to find every ounce of courage they have.
At the same time, new reporting and industry gossip were tying Diddy's legal collapse to a much wider circle of big-name celebrities. Articles began digging into conspiracy theories about secret societies, Illuminati symbols, and secretive elite gatherings. They pointed out that Diddy often moved in the same rooms as Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and powerful executives, hosting exclusive parties that some former insiders now claim were much more than just celebrity nightlife. Then, in late March, cameras caught Diddy's son, King Combs, outside the family's Los Angeles home, wearing sweatpants with an Illuminati-style symbol. The timing was impossible to ignore. It happened right after federal agents raided Diddy's homes in LA and Miami, and it fueled even more speculation about hidden networks and coded messages. While credible news outlets stayed focused on the actual criminal case and the victim testimony, the internet moved in a different direction. The rumor mill started connecting the Freakoff allegations to decades of whispers about secret industry circles, pushing the idea that the recordings seized by investigators might involve people far beyond Diddy's immediate circle.
Continue to engage in all these freak-offs with him, and he sounds really pissed off.
Hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to just give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all, at all. So I don't know, you think you silent treating me, and you think I'm going to be, nah. You'll have a rude...
This is the environment in which insiders now place the alleged leak of the Snoop video. According to people familiar with the federal review of Diddy's files, agents aren't just documenting what he did to his partners. They're cross-checking guest lists, travelogues, and any footage showing powerful visitors who might end up as witnesses, collaborators, or simply collateral damage. So when rumors began spreading in mid-2025 that a clip existed showing Snoop near one of these gatherings, the question wasn't just whether he committed a crime. The bigger concern was whether the same kind of control material described in Diddy's case now existed with Snoop's face in it, and if it did, who possessed it, who could leak it, and who might benefit from releasing it. Now the allegation is that the person who acted first wasn't a federal agent or a hacker, but Shantae herself. Sources claim she timed the leak for June 2025, right as investigators were believed to be zeroing in on high-profile guests and potential facilitators connected to Diddy. And according to industry insiders, this wasn't the move of a furious spouse. It was the choice of a manager who fully understands how reputation, cooperation, and narrative control work when the government is building a case this large. The theory circulating in entertainment law circles is unsettling. If Shantae knew or even suspected that footage involving Snoop might eventually surface from Diddy's seized drives, releasing a version she controlled could give her the power to shape the narrative early. separate their brand from the worst parts of the scandal, and quietly signal to investigators that she is willing to help them understand the bigger picture, even if doing so meant detonating the fairy tale marriage that has helped sell Snoop Dogg to middle America for nearly a decade.